Scene 5. Time. Luzmo was confirmed at 14 and chose the name El Niño, after Saint El Niño. Saint El Niño was from the early days of Trinitarianism in Quinia and had lost much to the spirit worshippers and heretics, including his eyes, hands, and eventually his head. The boy admired his resilience, as well as his comments after being threatened, which were about how threatening him made it less likely that he would agree, since it would lower his opinion of them even more. He wished he could be more like that. Fieso, and Gesha made fun of his choice, and said that he wanted someone to cut off his hands. As he and the Soledo grew, Fieso seemed to be more interested in helping them work than messing with Luzmo. Iso helped as well, and most of his schemes seemed to be more about trying to resolve the love tangle. Luzmo was a little skeptical of their motivations, but was glad they had stopped tormenting him so much at least. Gesha, on the other hand, seemed to have noticed their shifting priorities and decided she needed to fill the void they had left. When Luzmo was 15, Gesha accused the friars of stealing from the village. What she accused them of stealing was found in the friary. But between Gesha being a Soleda, and therefore less trustworthy than a demon named Lying, and the fact that everyone knew she did not like the friars and clergy in general, ironically calling them the archbishop's spies, no one believed her. Gesha disappeared once things had calmed down with that. She had not mentioned any sort of plan to do something like that to anyone. Luzmo knew he should hope she was safe and doing better, wherever she was, and he would, eventually. But he was also glad he had one less tormentor to deal with. A new friar, given the name Izazebo, but who took the name Alicario, joined the Deolirans soon after Gesha disappeared. He was a Soledo, and had a great love of music. He left the Deolirans during his novitiate to start his own order, the Order of Saint Cresce, changing his name to Brother Dorian. His order became known as the Dorians, and known for loving chant even more than the Balladins, and writing very long and complicated Lacaria settings, including the Lacaria e Aslasos Micheralos, the Lacaria of Archbishop Micharello, the Archbishop of Seville, which started with the Mishe Viedjeshe, good morning, chant, which was as long as Archbishop Micharello's average homily. They did not just set the prayers traditionally included in chant Lacaria settings, the Kerio, Idoce, Ashelu, and An Eratelos, but everything. Absolutely everything. And it was not just the typical simple tones that were usually sung. No, these were full tunes with inordinately long melismas. The same year Gesha disappeared, Caracica married a boy from a nearby town and moved away. Luzmo was very sad about that, since Caracica was really the only villager he liked, and because of how close they were. He liked her husband, though, and he was happy she had been able to find a town that was at least slightly less rude to Soledo than Carvino. Cara won the love tangle and married Fieso. Luzmo thought Gesha and Fieso would have been more fitting, the union of the two people who had tormented him most, but was mostly just glad he had not chosen Caracica. Considering Cara had not exactly been the kindest to him either, he still found it somewhat fitting. They married practically the moment they were both 17 in Old Sillery, and unspeakable acts, due to both their strangeness and horror, involving copious amounts of fruit, cooked and uncooked, occurred at their wedding. Luzmo had not been there, and he thought that might have been a good thing. Their first child, Lisa, was born a little over 9 months afterwards, and a few months later, Fieso disappeared for something that everyone knew was spying. Brother Joseppo had to go to Tonatera with Lady Quinia to talk to him. Luzmo, for some reason he had never really figured out, decided to sneak along. It went about as well as one would expect. Not only were all three caught and sold, but Luzmo was separated from the other two. He was bought by the woman helping Fieso, at least, and Lady Quinia was able to leverage her status to get herself and Brother Joseppo free. A team of diplomats in Soledo was sent to rescue them, and succeeded. Luzmo did not return until Fieso came back a few months later. His time in Tonatera was about as good as one would expect. In addition to the usual abuse any Quinian in Tonatera would have to deal with, he also did not understand things even more than usual. All his life, he had felt like he was playing a game where everyone had been told the rules, except for him. Going to Tonatera felt like the rules had suddenly changed. Luzmo knew the rules had changed, but not which ones. It did not even know what the original set of rules was. And every time he broke the rules, he got hit in the face. Eventually, all of them managed to escape. They found the Deoliran road, and the friars led them back to safety in Quinia. Brother Iva Zebel, who had been born in Tonatera and decided to join the Deolirans because they were the ones who helped him escape to Quinia, cried for both of them when they returned. While they were in Tonatera, Fieso apologized to Luzmo for making fun of him for not working while he was sick. Luzmo was not entirely convinced this was the real Fieso. It seemed that their shared experiences in Tonatera would bring them closer together, but it did not actually do much. Luzmo spent most of it feeling useless, and like the only thing he could and was doing was making things worse. Fieso's sarcastic and snide comments, which, while less frequent, did not help matters. Though Fieso did stand up for him a few times. A few years later, Luzmo disappeared. The friars were confused and very worried. He did not seem like the type of boy to just leave without telling anyone, especially them. They searched for him frantically for months, but, finding nothing, concluded that he must have just run away. Maybe how the other villagers had been treating him was worse than they thought. They decided to resume their wanderings, but they would keep searching for any sign of the boy.